on?
We live and nationwide, worldwide. We got people in the room here with us. We got to be on our best behavior tonight.
Yeah. For me, that might be the worst behavior, or somewhere
probably.
In between. Yeah, somewhere in between.
So people that are on the live stream, give us some feedback. Make sure we're coming over loud and clear.
Yeah, we got a lot of mics to check tonight.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We don't really have to check them all, but all right. The real question is, are you? All right, so let's start bringing them in here. Who we got first?
All right, let's Mr. Jason Zemer, or as I called him for several months, Zymer.
Hello, guys.
Hey, man, how's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We're gonna go down the list real quick of everybody who's joining us, and then we're gonna kind of interview each person individually. I'm gonna try to get in the camera here shot because my face is not
I'm
in
trying to get like inside the camera. Can y'all see my face close enough?
You're pretty close. Like, get a little closer and you might get sucked in. All right. I'm gonna take down this banner so we can actually see. All right, Dusty, BN Audio. What's going on?
Not a whole lot. Hope we have a good show tonight.
All right. Yeah, thanks for joining us. DIY Audio Guy in the house. What is up? And we also have the Third Era. Hello.
Hey, what's happening?
What's your first name?
Ed.
Ed. I'm sorry, man. I can't always relate, the username to the person's name. So my apologies, Ed. I won't forget that again.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So then we also have one more in the stream here. And Jason, I'm going to drop you out for just a second. Got Mr. John. How's it going, John?
How's it going, guys? Glad to be on the show today.
Hey. Thanks for being with us. So what we're going to do real quick is Rob and I are going to talk for a minute. Then we're going to join in one person at a time. At the end, we're going to have a roundtable session. We're going to have all the guys here. Just so much car audio knowledge, you guys' heads are going to explode. So hang on. Let's drop them off and we'll get back. Just me and Rob. Rob, are you ready?
Yeah, born ready.
You ready to get this party started?
Born ready.
So first off, we're going to start with Mr. Zemer, the one that paid up on the $100 challenge for the Willie Wilson challenge. And Rob, by the way, I owe you. I got to send you half because that was Jason's only discrepancy, and I'm cool with that because everything I do, you get half. This is like Bubba and Forrest, right?
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
Shrimp gumbo, Willie gumbos, all that.
So, Jason, you have been probably one of our most loyal watchers here on 12 Volt Talk. You've been always very active, in our chat room and the community and always been around. So we have got some questions for you. We'll go over them kind of quickly because we have several other people.
Sure.
But,
go ahead, shoot.
Yeah. So how did you get in to audio, and then how did it migrate to car audio?
Car audio was something that always came to me as an interesting subject. My first exposure, though, was very interesting. I was the summer of 1987. Myself and two of my friends, this would have been between my 8th grade year and freshman year in high school, went to a Run DMC and Beastie Boys concert. It was the Together Forever tour, and it was in Seattle. And I thought I was hearing the concert from, outside the venue when we got there. But it was a stereo system, a car audio system, and it's full of Fosgate amps and speakers. And, at 14, I really didn't know what that was all about, but I knew I wanted one. And that's what got me started in car audio. It was as simple as that. Got to have it.
Yeah. I was waiting for Derek.
I was
waiting
like he was
for
Rob.
Say something.
Yeah. It was like it's Rob's turn, but we're all good. We all kind of have a similar story. You get you notice something and you just all of a sudden it ticks. It's like, man, this is pretty cool.
So
Yeah.
how did you get back into car audio then? Did you ever have a break, or you just stay in car audio the whole time?
You know, when I first got into car audio, it was fast and furious. You know, I got an old 64 hoopty from my grandpa. I put a swap meet, 212s and some PCO, however you pronounce it. I still don't know how to pronounce it, but put that in the back with an amp, and I thought that was the greatest thing. And eventually migrated up to what I was building a competition system. This was in the this had to have been 1991, 92, and I was pretty serious about it. I spent at the time, I think it was $4,000, if not more. I bought the car for $2,000. It was an '84 Camaro, and shortly after completing the whole thing, it was totaled. I lost everything, and so I eventually, moved on, built some other systems, and in 1997, I graduated college, and my last car stereo system was stolen. And shortly thereafter, I didn't disconnect the power lead from the battery, and my car caught fire. So that was sort of the end of it. In '97, I was out up until there was a day I was sitting around thinking, hey, I ought to look back into this. And I did a Google search for old school Orion amps, and the first video I saw was Big D Wiz, his review of the Orion 275 SX, which my competition system was a single 0 to 50 watt 225 HCCA. And so it rang home, and that's when I got hooked back into it. Can't remember how many years ago that was, but I think it was 7 or 8 years ago. And I took a big 12-year break, and ever since then I've been back into it. And it's a passion.
Yeah, so we all have Derek to blame for this. When it all comes down to it, and next time my wife gets mad about me ordering something, it's Derek's fault. It's always Derek's fault.
Just like the Savard truck, it is not my fault. Nope, not my fault.
Will would disagree, but we can move.
Yeah, well,
I
I can't help it that he can't operate his own Bluetooth stuff. That's not my problem.
That was Lucas.
Yeah, that's right. Lucas can't do it either.
Oh.
Yep. So I don't know. Did we talk about we didn't talk about your first real system in your car? Or you did? I'm sorry, you did.
Yeah, that was my competition system. It was really nice. 225 HCCA with all sorts of Orion and MB Court, equipment.
Orion and MB Court was definitely hot back in the day. I remember the MB Court versus Boston Acoustics. I was more of the Boston Acoustics guy, but both of them sounded great. They were great sounding speakers. So yeah, that's cool. Well, we got several other people here. We appreciate, as always, you hanging out with us and your involvement in the community and paying up your debts. Just kidding. No, I'm going to show you guys later this week. My new bike is coming in, and I'm going to do another wheelie later on this week, and everybody's going to be able to see that. I'm sure you want to see another video of me riding a wheelie. You're breathing real heavy. But Jason, we'll bring you back in just a little bit, and we'll talk with you some more. So thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
All right. So next up, Rob, I'm gonna let you pick because I picked Jason. So
let's go with the third era, my dude.
The third era,
the Raider cap wearing
all day, baby.
Mr. Edward up in the house.
What's happening, guys?
What's up?
Yo, yo, yo.
Much like Mr. Zemer, Edward has been, from the beginning, every Wednesday night, he's there, always in the chat room, always hanging out, always, helping with anything that I say that's wrong, or whatever Rob corrects me that's not right, or when you talk about Savard and Ed agrees with me, not Rob. So appreciate that, Ed.
I don't know about that one, Big D.
Yeah. We're getting into some revisionist history here.
Yeah. So tell us, Ed, a little bit about your entrance into car audio and what got you started.
Yeah, sure. Well, like a lot of us, it was always like an influence from somebody. At the time, my uncle had retired from the Air Force, and he started doing some DJing. So I remember he had like this room that had probably 10 or 12 15-inch just big old PA speakers, you know, all in the room. And I just remember always going over there and playing a double Dutch bus inside of that room. And man, it was awesome. Just hearing all that bass and just that feeling it gave me, you know, I was hooked. Then shortly after, my older brother, he had came. I don't know how he got them, to be honest with you. I don't know if it was a bad way or not, but he got these two big old 15-inch just PA speakers from a neighbor, and it didn't even have a back to the box, so he had to use the ground as the box for the back of the box. But I mean, he had it on like a little 30-watt normal little stereo. We didn't know anything about ohms at the time or anything, so I mean, it bumped the house, so it rattled all the windows. So.
So when did you get your first car audio system? What was it?
Let's see. My first real system, 04 maybe, I want to say, was when I really like got into taking the time to buy the right equipment. And at the time, there was kind of like a battle going on between Rockford Fosgate and Orion over in Bakersfield, where I got my system at a place called Translex. It's a shame they went out of business, man. They were a good company. But yeah, it was a full Rockford Fosgate system with a Clifford alarm. That thing was awesome with the little pager on there. It lets you know what side of the car they were on and all that good stuff. But yeah, it was just, I remember I made payments on it because they actually, you know, I was that kid that went in there every Friday for like 2 hours and just asked a bunch of questions and, you know, didn't buy much. But they slowly but surely got my money, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I remember
What-
Translex and Bakersfield represent, man. That's where I'm from too. But
What
yeah.
was the car, Ed? Did you say?
It was a 97 Saturn Coupe. It was the year that they only had 2 doors because the year after they kind of had like a 3-door action. But man,
Was that a SC1 or SC2?
the SC2.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, that thing was pretty stout. I mean, I think I got it for $2,500. I put like probably close to 2,000 in just Dynomat in that thing. That's how committed I was in it, you know.
Wow,
So
that's pretty slick. Well, you know, everybody's got something to start with. The Saturns were definitely on the plasticky side and probably needed that heavy additional sound deadening for sure.
But you
But
can
that's
pop
cool.
the dents out, you know, just like punch a dent in it and
with
it pops right out.
with a plunger.
He's right.
Yeah. And you didn't have to haggle on price either.
No. I mean, I think what was I doing? It was before I got in the union for the pipe fitters union. I was like 18, and I think I was working at McDonald's because I moved from Fresno over to Bakersfield. So yeah, you know, I had limited money, and sure enough, I found a good deal on that car. So
Yeah, so we didn't ask Jason this question, but we'll go back around when we bring him back in. But did you ever work in the car audio industry, or you just kind of like us enthusiasts?
Well, the first place that I started getting car audio stuff from when I was probably 16, I wasn't getting a paycheck from them, but I was getting the benefit of like a really good discount. It was a place in Fresno called Sound Unlimited, and they were, believe it or not, they carried Lanzar, and that was my first, you know, look into like Opti and stuff like that. But I would go there on the weekends and kind of just be a shop boy. I would hang out for a while. One of my other buddies it was back when people were burning discs for MP3s. He would just show up and burn everybody their favorite mix. And that was his way of getting free car audio stuff. But, you know, I told him, hey, I know how to wire stuff. I know how to solder. I know how to, you know, I know the pointy end of a screwdriver. So.
Yeah, man. So you didn't have a break like us then? You've been going since 2004. Did you have some sort of break?
I wouldn't say it was much of a break. I've always had some kind of a setup, but as far as how extreme and how much I invested in it, from like that $5,000 system or so from Translex. When I moved back here to Fresno after my wife graduated from Cal State Bakersfield, we came back over here to Fresno for a little bit, and I had gotten rid of that Saturn because it was having radiator problems. And So I had like a 1990 Toyota Camry that we call it the little Bebe. That thing's been in our family for years. You know, it's trusty. I decided I'll put that system in here. You know, it'll sound good in there. And lo and behold, it got stolen. Believe it or not, that car got stolen 3 times, and I got it back 3 times. But after they stole it the first time and took all that Translux system out of there, it kind of hurt me a little bit. And so I didn't buy any new equipment. You know, I've always had a big, you know, bunch of stuff lying around. So, but I want to say, what is that, 2008 to maybe 2011? I didn't buy any new gear, but I was, you know, still around. I was in the forums. I was in a forum that a lot of people aren't actually in, acoustics.com. That's where I started. So I was hanging around in there.
Yeah, I remember seeing a lot of data when I was looking up stuff that was in acoustics. Whenever I looked something up, there was a lot of historical stuff there too.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I totally missed out on the forums, man. It skipped past me, and I didn't get back in till I can't even remember when.
It's Facebook that just stays, because in my experience, you'd have 1 or 2 posts that made a lot of sense, and all the rest of them were just noise. You know, it was like, come on, really? You know, you try to read something and it gets down to the guy's like, that sucks, or that's no good. You know, it's like, come on, give a solid answer.
yeah.
Well, cool, Ed. We'll come back with you in a few minutes. Thanks for joining us here. We'll come back and bring you in, and we'll ask everybody some kind of roundtable questions.
Sweet. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. All right, so we're going to just go as they entered. So I'm going to bring on Dusty next.
All right.
Mr. BN Audio.
What's up?
What's going on? What is BN Audio?
Big Nasty.
Big Nasty. I like it. Now, do you run a shop, or are you a self-employed? What's up with that?
I used to work in the industry back in the 90s, early 2000s, got out of it, went to manufacturing for quite a while. Just slowly, got a house, kids, missus now, so getting back into the last year or 2 now. So I'm I'm set up down here in my eBay workspace. So, but yeah.
So how did you first get into audio then? What was the first thing you remember getting into car audio specifically?
Magazines, baby. Back in high school, about sophomore year, me and a buddy of mine just kind of both met in high school and gravitated towards car audio. Used to go to a local shop, hang out on Saturdays in the back of the shop, try to learn some stuff and see if they let us do stuff or anything to get involved. Just didn't care. Loud stuff was cool, so and they would do a lot of custom work, so we get to see a lot of that getting done too.
So what was your first system that you were proud of, and what car was it?
The proud one, not the first one. The proud one was, I had a 94 Civic 4-door. I had Memphis 1000D running 2 PPI C215s, sealed box stuffed in the back of that little trunk. I was doing DB drags at Circuit City, doing like 146s, 148s from the trunk. So started about a year. I did that for a couple of years, and I started getting a little bit into sound Q. And then I did that for about a couple of years, just local, nothing national. And then I ended up just getting a pretty good offer at a manufacturing place. It just kind of went the other direction for a while.
So did you have a breaking car audio like the rest, like me and D, or did you just kind of stay with it the whole time?
I've always put like a radio instead of speakers, like a cheap $100 component set in or something like that, but I haven't done anything for anybody else or competitive for a long time. Trying actually probably just want to get back into sound Q. It just leaves a lot more space. I love 160 decibels, don't get me wrong, but having a wall, it's hard to get 2 kids in there and some bags and go down the road.
Yeah, and it also does a lot of damage to the vehicle. So you got to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Got to be prepared for things not to work. And yeah, once you go down that road, yeah, it's tough. I think Rob and I are both, we're really happy with 140, right, Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
140 is plenty.
I think 138, 145 driving around every day. That's decent enough.
Yeah, it is. That's plenty to not get yourself in trouble and not to kill your car quickly. Over time, I'm sure it'll still do some damage. But so, Dusty, did you ever do the car audio in the home thing?
Coming soon.
EQT.
Yeah, baby. Coming soon.
Cool. You'll have to keep us updated because we want to see what's up with that.
Above my shipping table for my eBay is where I'm going to do my amps and my EQs and everything else up there.
So what is your eBay username?
It's Dusty's Resale Shop.
Okay.
It's real small stuff. I don't, I just pick up electronics and here and there and sell it,
Cool.
So.
Well, we'll put the link at the end of the session here. Just remind us, and so people can go check it out. Whatever you got, see what you got listed.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to jump to the next one. We'll bring you back here at the end for the roundtable.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thank you. What's up, Mr. DIY Audio Guy?
How's it going, guys?
How are you doing?
A little bit. I'm doing great. I feel like I'm halfway in the shot. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, you kind of have to adjust yourself because of the way this program, like look, Rob and I, ready, Rob, and get ready to knock you over. Ready? Boom. Oh, you went the wrong way. Dude, you're killing me.
Mirrored image, yeah.
I know, it's a mirrored image.
Yeah.
It's like we have to
having me on.
We have to do the wave. Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us. So
it's an honor. It's an honor. I feel like I'm out of my league. I feel like I'm the little kid, hanging out with the grown-ups kind of thing here.
Oh no, it's awesome, man. We're just normal guys that enjoy what we do, just like you. So we appreciate having you here. So just like everybody else, we'll ask you the same story. So tell us how you got into audio and car audio.
Man, it started with a buddy. It always starts with a buddy. I grew up in a really small town in a really rural area. In fact, the Third Era said his first car was a Saturn. I'm probably an hour from the Saturn factory. So I remember when they built the Saturn factory, and that changed the area dramatically because it was the middle of nowhere when they broke ground on the factory. And there was a buddy in high school who had a single 12 and would ride around bumping. It was all like, man, I got to have that. And the problem is, growing up where I did and how I did was made of unobtainium. There was no way I could get it, right? The nearest place of any quality of a shop was a 2-hour drive away kind of thing. Crutchfield was a fantasy book, right? But Crutchfield would come in and be like, "Oh, it's Crutchfield, yeah!" That was the best stuff ever. And my first system, nothing nice about it at all. It was a hand-me-down stuff. My older brother, and I want to bring this up because I'd like to know if anyone's ever heard this or seen it. So this would have been about I don't know. Vanilla Ice was cool back at the time. So this would have been 1990, right? 89 or 90. There was a shop that opened up, in a nearer town, and my brother went and he bought a 3-way component set with a tweeter, like a 4-inch mid-range, and a 6x9, and an external crossover. The crossover was just one big box. Right and left channel went in, and then 6 channels came out. And he put that in his T-Bird. He had the cool car, and I never had it. I'll never figure how that happens. It's just, anyways, there's a long story about that. We can get into it. And one day the motor in the T-Bird blew, and he had to give up the T-Bird, and I got it. And it was and I put it in myself, and it was horrible. And I bought an old school dual shaft Kenwood tape deck and a Kenwood CD player with a little adapter from a friend. Put that in my pickup truck. Didn't even put a dash kit in it. It was just hanging there. You know how it is when you don't know what you're doing. And it was horrible, but it was mine. It played loud. I loved it. Went on a road trip with some buddies. And no air conditioner in the truck. And the buddies say, "Man, you need an amplifier." It's like, yeah, I do need an amplifier. And I went and bought a 2-channel Sherwood amplifier. Have you tested any Sherwoods, Big D? No. And that was what I had. And it was, man, it was what I had, and I loved it. Right? You know, the best thing you've got is what you got. And then I finally upgraded to a vehicle. That was my dad's truck. I was borrowing it, and he was pissed. Right? He was unhappy with the condition of the truck. And I got a Pontiac Grand Am, 88 model, and this is 93 or 94 by this time. May have been older than 88. It was a long time ago. And I my brother picked up a 12-inch Blue Thunder and gave it to me for a birthday. And it was all like, I got a 12-inch Blue Thunder. This is the stuff. And it was back in the day, I don't know if you remember doing this or not, but they would have these big kind of mobile swap meets that would show up and go to like the downtown. It was at the Municipal Auditorium in Nashville, and my brother went and picked one up. It was, I don't know, closeout use. I don't know what it was, but it was dirt cheap. And me and a buddy, the younger brother of the guy who had the 12, took apart some cabinets and screwed together a subwoofer box, and it sounded horrible. But in the trunk, you couldn't hear all the, the bad stuff. And I hooked that amp up to it. Eventually upgraded to a Sony tape player and a 10-disc changer in the trunk. Never bothered to screw the stuff down. I just slid around in the trunk of the car. I didn't know what I was doing. It was like I knew better, but I didn't know how to do it right. Just didn't. I couldn't turn on YouTube and watch Mark from Car Audio Fab show me how to do it right. And I ran that for years, and it was great. Graduated from school, got a job with a company car. That was my sidecar, and left that job. Different chapter in my life. Moved. And then I come home after a weekend trip to find the side window bashed out, tape deck gone. And, and that was up until recently, that was the end of my car audio experience, because the stuff was still made of unobtainium for me at the time. And I couldn't get around to getting it back in, and it was so frustrating because the people who broke into the car, they busted the dash apart, ruined the dash, and reached in and grabbed that wire harness and took a big pair of cutters and just cut the harness off, the factory harness. And then the knuckleheads took the adapter, right, that a buddy had soldered for me. I was so thrilled to have it soldered, right, and just unhooked it and threw it in the floorboard. And so I thought, now the dude can't even pawn the darn thing. I mean, all that destruction for nothing. I kind of felt bad for the guy, but not that bad.
Well, we appreciate your backstory, but I did want to say, because I don't know if anybody else will ask this when we get everybody back on, but I don't know if anybody else has a YouTube channel, but you have one. I see you just hit 100 subscribers a few days ago. And tell us a little bit about what your goals are and kind of what you're doing with your YouTube channel.
So I got to a point in my life where the stuff no longer became unobtainium. And I'm watching everybody on YouTube, and I'm thinking to myself, I got a camera on a cell phone. I can film it too. And I can kind of just, a vanity project. I can just kind of show it off a little bit and show off what I'm doing. And, I've put pictures of things up on Facebook for years and whatnot. And I just decided it was time just to bite the bullet and just put the first video together. And that's kind of what it is. Most of the projects on the video are home audio projects. Because I've had a lot of fun. Oh, hey, there I am. That's me. I've had a lot of fun building my own home theater stuff. My entire home theater, the 5.1 system, was all homemade. Kits from Parts Express, the Tritrix kit for my towers. You can see the Tritrix in process on the screen in the banner on top of the YouTube page. There'll be a video on that at some point. It's just going to be a montage of pictures that I took because I didn't get any good footage of it. And I just thought, you know what? Why not put this stuff up on YouTube and see what happens? And then I did it, and I kind of got that bug where I see that first person watch, and I see the watch count start to go up, and I go, hey, this is kind of cool. Someone's watching my stuff, right? And I mean, it's nothing compared to what y'all got, but like when 1,000 people watch your video, it kind of feels good, guys. Kind of makes you feel like you've done something worthwhile. And 112 people like my content enough to hit subscribe and get an email from YouTube bugging them once a week to come watch my stuff. I mean, that's cool.
Well,
I feel
we all had to start somewhere. Back in the day, Rob and I hit 100. It was harder to hit 100 probably than it was to hit 1,000 than it was to hit 10,000. So I mean, the biggest thing is if you enjoy what you're doing, you keep the content flowing, and you're able to do it in a presentation format, then people will watch. I mean, there's a lot of things for people to watch out there, but it never ceases to amaze me the number of people that will, you know, it's like, I can't imagine this many people. And my dad used to always tell me, why are you doing old car audio? How many people are going to want to watch that? And I was like, well, it's what I enjoy. It's what I want to do. Now, of course, I do new stuff too, but I like that as well. But yeah, I mean, it's if you're having fun, you know, and you're able to do it on the side, it's a nice little hobby. We try to tell as many people that can, like, you've got, like, just like you said, you got a cell phone. It's not hard to do the editing nowadays, very simple editing. So we recommend people do that. Try it out if you can. If you want to, if you don't, then just watch us.
Just don't solder on a video and you'll be fine.
Or yeah, right. That's right. Don't
I did
solder.
that, made that mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's too many perfectionists out there. So
Yeah.
I fast forwarded the part where I was soldering, so it looks kind of like I was doing it right.
Yeah.
I bought a new soldering iron since then. I got a decent stall soldering station that I hope will work a little better. I made the mistake of trying to practice on old wire, which won't solder.
Yeah,
20-year-old wire from that first install back in the day kind of stuff. It's just it's junk.
Cool. Well, what we'll do here is we'll put you on hold for a few minutes, and we'll come back and do the roundtable. Thanks for giving us your backstory and tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel. We'll come back and give you some more screen time here in a minute. Thanks again. And we'll hit Mr. Booth next. John up in the house. I'm going to unmute you, John. I don't know if you're unmuted on your side. Are you seeing his video, Rob?
Oh, there it is. There he is.
All right. I think I'm there. You go.
All right. Okay.
That was my bad. I was clicking unmute for you.
It's cutting in and out just a little bit because of probably my Wi-Fi router, but appreciate you guys having me on tonight.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So we'll hit you up. Well, just like we did everybody else. Tell us a little bit about how you got into audio and then got into car audio.
Well, it started back when I was in a much younger youth person. My best friend ran sound for church, so I always just hung out with him up at the soundboard, and we kind of gave friends. And then probably about a year after that, this guy moved in next door to my parents' house, and he coming banging down the block all the time, and had a Pontiac Fiero, had a 2-punch 10s and with on 3.5s in the headrest, and like the Clarion 4x6 I think was in the dash, and he had some punch 45s. I think he had 3 punch 45s running the entire system, and and a Clarion deck, I think, and became friends with him, and we started hanging out, and that's how I kind of got into the car audio scene. I kind of was in the audio a little bit, but that really set me over the edge on the car audio. So as I was growing up, we hung out, and he would put new systems in his car because he had the money. I didn't. So so the funny things are, like, so I wanted audio in my dad's truck, so I ended up getting one of those Radio Shack Optimus 8-inch little woofers, and then I worked at a local hamburger shop here in town, and there was this really thick cardboard box that I ended up cutting a hole out of it, sealed it up with tape, and then I stuck the subwoofer in there, and then I plugged up a Pyramid booster amp, and then I had a really cheap dual knob, the old because my dad's truck was a 1973 Ford F-150, so you had the dual shaft old deck. So I bought a really crappy deck just so I can get some FM, because it was just an AM radio in there before. So I ended up doing that, and that was my first little cheap system. It worked. It was, I know I didn't sound good back then, but I was like, hey, it bumped a little bit. I could hear, I put a couple cheap speakers in the doors, and that was it. And as time went along, my real first system was I was starting to put one in. I bought a Ford Probe, but before I finished it in that one, it got wrecked. So then I ended up buying a 1995 Honda Civic. So this was probably about a 97-ish. And I had accrued a bunch of equipment trying to do systems, but never finishing them in my cars. And so my real first system was the 1995 Honda Civic, and I had a Kenwood PS 900 in there. I ended up buying had a punch 40, two punch 40s and a punch 60. So I was in the 0 to 150 range. I never competed, wanted to, but never ended up got that car in. I had a Phoenix Gold EQ 230 with acoustic XM5E crossover. Had Alpine Digimax 5 1/4 Silk Dome tweeter in the kick panel, and I used the Q Logic kick panels you could buy from back in the day, where you can just buy the kick panel piece and then you can stick it in the kick panel, and then just put your 5 1/4 4 and the tweet in there. I had to kind of modify the tweeter mount because the Alpines didn't really have a really good deal, a good mount for that. And then I had a got a really another. So everything I bought, I got a really good deal on everything. So I actually ended up getting a pair of Rockford Fosgate audiophile 6.5s and put them in the door. So I had 6.5 in the door running off a punch 40, and then I had the Alpines Digimax component set up front off the punch 40, another punch 40, and then I had the punch 60 bridge mono to my two JL Audio 10W1s. So I had two of those at both of those are 8 ohms, so I was running at 4 ohms to that amplifier. I love that system. Everybody who got in the car and listened was just floored by how well it sounded. It had a lot of bass up front with those 6.5 audiophiles, and I really love that system. I ended up keeping that car till 2003. No, probably a little bit later. 2000, about 2000, no, 2002, 2003, when my decided to buy my wife a new car. So I took her old car, would buy her car. And then I kind of got out of it at that point because I basically took everything out of that car, sadly, and then sold the car off. And just the only thing that left I kept in there was the Alpine, the Digimax component set. I wish I would have kept those. Those would have been awesome. But I missed that car. And then a few years later, I finally, when I took over my wife's old car, it was a 2002 Toyota Camry. I ended up putting the system in there, but I put, I kept my JL Audio 10W1, so I put those back in. Still love those subs. Even people were like, they couldn't believe how good they still sounded. But I ended up using an MTX Thunder 6304 and a 6150, I think it was. So I had the 6304 running some Zapco blacks, which are their ESB speakers out of Italy. Had a 6.5 in the door and the tweeter and the kick panel. And then I had the JL Audios in the back. And then I had some 6x9s in the back for my son. So when my son was just born, I wanted to make sure he could hear audio back there. So I ran those off the deck, actually. And so had those running off the came with Echelon deck I had in that car. And then I had bought, that was the first time I realized that car audio, because I was starting to get back into car audio. Zapco had the very first DSP for car audio. And so I bought that because I was like, because I actually work in the pro audio industry. So when I saw that, I was like, need that piece so I can run it off a computer and EQ and do all that other stuff. So that was a lot of fun. I missed that car too. Ended up having to reluctantly get rid of that car because somebody rear-ended me. They fixed the rear end and it leaked a whole bunch of water in the trunk. Didn't ruin any of the equipment, but that was my point where I was like, I'm almost about 3,000 miles from 200,000 on the car, and I was like, all right, it's time for me to move on. So I've kind of got out of it at that time, and then I bought my Toyota Avalon, sitting in the garage right now, that I've been trying to put a system in for the last 3.5 years. But watching you guys, your guys' videos and the inaugural 12-volt talk YouTube channel and a car audio fab and all the new guys I've been watching and just kind of learning some fab tricks. And every time I see something, I'm like, man, I need to do that in my car, but never get time to do it. But it's slowly going. I'm moving, like once in a while I'll get something done in it, but I'm hoping to get something by this time next year, have everything in.
So
yeah, go ahead, Rob.
What equipment are you gonna run in this new system? Is it all new stuff or is it some old school stuff?
Yeah, I ended up selling all my old school stuff so I can buy the new school stuff. I sold all my JL Audio 10W1s and my Phoenix Gold DQ 230 and all the other stuff. So on this one, I have Zapco Z series amplifiers, 150 by 6, 150.6, the LX series for my fronts, and then I have the Zapco Z1KD for my sub. I'm gonna actually use the JL Audio 12W6 version 3. I bought that on one of the forums, brand new, really good deal. I was looking at it between that and the Morale, so I decided to go with that one. It's a little cheaper. My fronts will be a I completely forgot now. Oh, Illusion Audio 3.5-inch coax. I'm gonna put them in the dash. So in the factory location. So has the beryllium copper tweeter, and then the carbon fiber 3-inch that's a coax, and that's a biamp system. What's biamp? Not biamped. It's passive crossover, an actual external passive crossover, and then the door. I had bought the Illusion Carbon 8s, and I'm gonna put those in the door. And then the back seat door, I'm gonna have the same Illusion 3.5 carbons in the door for my boys in the back, so they can get some good mids and highs, and they'll get the mid bass from the 8 in front.
See, I like that. Taking care of everybody in the car. That's how to do it.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. We're gonna bring everybody else.
DSP, so.
Yeah, cool. We're gonna bring everybody else in so we can have this big party. I think somebody actually dropped out accidentally, maybe. Nope. Let's see.
We'll just have to rotate DIY audio guy in at some point.
Yep. So I have a question for everybody.
Me too.
You go first, Rob. I've been talking too much.
Okay. How many of you guys didn't realize what the gain was for when you first started with the car audio amp, like me, and just like, well, it's, it makes it louder when I turn it up. Right. I see 1 hand, 2 hands, 3 hands. Anybody got any stories about that?
I'll go first. I had an old Rockford Fosgate. I think it was a 150 A2, or might have been the 250. And I had it on a set of those dual 12-inch that actually had like the illumination. I think I bought those at like a yard sale or something. And my buddy was like, hey, man, just turn that gain up. That's the volume. I'm like, I don't know. Once it gets about halfway, it just sounds like crap. And he goes, that's because your head unit's all messed up, So anyway, so I ended up turning the gain all the way up. And within like 5 minutes, I blew out the pre-outs on the little head unit I had. So I'm like, I'm not listening to you anymore.
You're done. I don't take advice from you no more. Oh.
I destroyed a perfectly good set of kicker, old school, the black and gold, within like 5 minutes, because a buddy of mine said that up, volume down, never get distortion.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not clipping, you're tripping, right?
But back in the day, Too Short, was the bass CD you bought, so you put that in, and Friday night you hit it, done.
Yeah, I temporarily earned the nickname Snap Crackle Pop, and watched this episode with my swap meet 12s and my Majestic 500 amp, and I thought it was a volume knob, and it just went snap pop, and it was done.
All right.
I never blew anything. I never blew anything because being in the pro audio industry, I've kind of learned the gain structure. So I've never really pushed my systems to the point of clipping. I kind of notice when it happens and back off.
So you're the opposite of I need more gain. You're like, I have enough gain, right? That's cool.
He has an adequate amount of gain. Oh, man.
Yeah, I've learned that now. You get a 2400 watt amp to power something you want 600 watts, so you can do it cleanly.
Yeah. What about the DIY audio guy? Did you use your gain as a volume knob?
Never really did that much. And this is going to sound weird, but I really don't like it that loud and never did. You know what I'm saying? It's like people talking about, 140 decibels. It's like I'm tapping out about 20 decibels before that. And so, I knew when I first got into this way back in the day that gain knob was something that you could really mess up. But I did use the bass boost back then. I mean, had to use the bass boost. So that's where it was at.
Well, they put it there for a reason, right? got to turn it up. I mean, otherwise, why they have it there? That's why Rockford sold so many amps, because their Punch 45s and stuff had a bass boost, and the Orions didn't. Well, they had a button, but they didn't have a variable boost.
Turn on the bass boost on the amp. Turn on the loudness button on the head unit. Turn the bass up on the head unit. I had a Radio Shack home system from back in the day. I still had the speakers, as a matter of fact, from 1988. Two big white 12s. They were Pioneer clones. Pioneer made Radio Shack stuff back then. And it had a 5-band EQ. And my brother and I, we'd take that 5-band EQ and turn everything with the lowest one, the lowest frequency down, and crank it up. Shake the house with those things.
Yeah, that's cool. So hold on. I saw that in Rob, but I have a question.
Okay.
Mr. Mark has got to wait because mine is next. Then we'll do Mark. Then we'll do yours about the embarrassing equipment. My question for you guys is, what do you think about the car and audio industry today, as in what you can get for the money versus back in the day? Because I know a lot of us are nostalgic and we like the older stuff more than the newer stuff. But if you're looking at it from a perspective of what you get for the money, how do you guys feel about price versus performance today? We'll start with Jason.
Yeah, I'm super excited about the market today and what you can get for the value. I like I said, I spent one of my first amplifiers was an Autotech 7050 BTS running a single Godfather 15, and I saved up money for months for that. And you could get something that's better than that for next to nothing now. So I think it's great for the younger generation, the people that want to get into car audio. Just the other day, I heard somebody, and to take a line from Hi-Fi, I heard somebody rolling through the neighborhood with a block beater. And I came outside and I'd heard it for 3-4 days. And I finally went outside, flagged it down, come to find out it was my neighbor. And, he's a 16-year-old kid, just got his car, and he's trying to hook up his system and tune it. And I was like, this is cool. These guys can get into it for much, much cheaper than I could. And the thing sounded pretty darn good. So I'm excited about what that means. I'm not sure that I'm going to run a lot of that new stuff, at least in my old school build that I'm working on. But I think for a lot of people, it's excellent. And it's great for the industry in general.
And I would have loved to see the look on that kid's face when you're flagging him out. It's like, oh, great. I pissed off the neighbor. He's calling me over. He's going to chew me out. And then what a surprise that you're wanting to check out his system. He's probably elated over that.
Yeah. He asked me, I told him, I said, hey, in my truck, I got a system. He's like, really? And I said, yeah, come over and look at it. And he was just blown away. So it was fun. Yeah. He thought I was going to call the cops for sure.
That's awesome. That's a great story. It's good to know your neighbors and what they're into, because things like that, hey, you never know when you've got something in common, even if it's a 16-year-old kid. That's cool. I'm sure you can show them some tricks too.
The funny part is like the thing they don't tell you about getting older is you don't feel older. So when you're flagging the guy down, you still think of yourself as a 20-year-old in the car stereos. He sees an old guy, like this old get off my lawn guy right here. And that's just, in your head, you're like, yeah, man, it's system. I want to check it out.
Yeah. So Third Era, Ed, what do you think about the new stuff?
I think it's made it a lot more accessible, like you're saying, for the new people coming in. Because I remember, buying a 500/1 JL or the JBL 1200.1. It was $1.50 to $2 a watt, and nowadays I put a system in for my sister. I set her up with a Rockville system actually, but I think she spent like less than $500, and she's got a 1,000-watt Rockville amp and a an Alpine Type S sub, you know, and it sounds really good. So I mean, it allows people to get into the market now for so cheap. You know, it's made it less of a niche, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's my whole thing about it. You know, we of course, a lot of us grew up in the days when things were being made here in the U.S. and they were, like you said, $2 to $5 a watt. I mean, like the Punch 45s were real expensive watt per dollar, but it did make it unobtainium. I'll use your word there, Mr. DIY guy. But it made it unobtainium for a lot of people because you had to choose between, were you going to get a car, or were you going to get car audio, or were you going to be able to, you know, go out on Friday night, or were you going to buy a subwoofer? Now, for me, I would have bought the subwoofer and just stayed at home and played basketball or something. But anyway, you know, but these days, you're right. I mean, 1,000-watt amp for $100, and they can really put together a decent system for like $500 or less, and they can do it in pieces. And I'm not, you know, the quality control and all that can be an issue with the newer product, especially if they're mass produced in China and they don't have good quality control. But, you know, the ability of people to get into car audio these days, I think, is unprecedented. I mean, I couldn't, if I was 16 right now versus what I had to save up for, you know, I had to save up like $2,000 to buy my system back then. And I only had like 210s, a CD player head unit, 2 amps, and a couple 6.5s, and that's $2,000. And these days, man, you'd be beating down the block hard with $2,000. You could probably do it for, you know, a quarter of that. So that's the part I think is kind of cool about what's available today. So that's my 2 cents. I know y'all didn't ask me, but I told you.
If you got $2,000, here's how you do it: you spend $1,500 on an amp, $400 on subs. You buy a head unit for like $20 from the Blah Punk, and then you just get a bunch of CCA wire, and boom, you're good to go. Oh man, wait, you guys don't like CCA wire?
And I'm the big dummy.
You know, it's nice that amplifier power is so cheap, but the problem now is integrating into a modern car. You know, I'm running an old pickup truck because I like old pickup trucks, and it's, you know, the radio is not tied into any other system. There's nothing complicated to do. It's just a simple, you know, single DIM with your good old school kind of style trim plate that you stick on there. It's easy to do that, but oh man, that's the downside. Yeah, you can get an amp cheap compared to back in the day, but you can't hook the darn thing up because you can't get a signal out from the head unit, and you can't put an aftermarket head unit in the car. That's the challenge today.
That's a very valid point. I mean, yeah. I mean, I normally buy used cars anyway that are several years old, but even if you go back 5 years from right now, a lot of the head units are integrated in to the HVAC and everything else. So that, I mean, you're right. It is a problem. That it is a challenge. Luckily, we have Dean and Fernando down at 5-Star Car Stereo, and they have done every car. So if you guys ever have a question about how to integrate a car, check out their videos. They probably have one on them. Right, Rob?
Yep, for sure. They know the model numbers of the particular parts you need in their head. Dean does. He'll just pop it off, him and Fernando both. I don't know where they store that information, but they got it.
They do. So Dusty, what do you think about the new car audio and how the industry is and availability and prices and things like that?
Well, first of all, if you hear the kids crying, it's bedtime. So sorry. Industry-wise, I think it's awesome. Like, I started working when I was 14 and a half. When I was 15 and a half, I bought my first car. It was an 83 Oldsmobile Omega for like $1,000. Pioneer CD player back then, one RCA 2-volt was $330. And when I bought that 94 Civic I had, I competed in DB drag. The Memphis 1000Ds were $500 to $600 depending on what shop you were at and how exclusive they were. So if you do that math, well, what's not to like? $100 component set sounds pretty decent. You could run 112, 120 decibels, depending how low you want to cross them over. I think the only downside is just manufacturers, the cars are getting a little harder to integrate. Just to pull the radio out and put a new radio in the dash kit for $20 is gone. But minus that, I still think overall that the quality equipment you get for the price point's a lot better, a lot better, a lot more reliable. All said and done, there's some brands that go, but I mean, you can get the beater I just picked up for $350. I put a $100 SCAR component set with a $130 SCAR 4-channel in it. Good. Like windows down, turn it up, clean, trim up the crossover. Yeah. What'd you buy for $100 20 years ago? Stinger was what, $5 or $6 a foot for 4-gauge? $20 for a plastic fuse holder. Yeah, you didn't buy much. Yeah.
Yeah, it was everything was very expensive. My Sony CD player was, I think it was $400 back then, and that was one of the cheaper ones. I think Sherwood had one that was cheaper, and like AudioVox had one that was a little bit cheaper, but the Alpine was $500 and the Sony was $400. I see that question, but I'm not reading it. Yeah. So let's flip to the question that Mark asked earlier. Rob, do you know what he said exactly again? The most embarrassing, is that what he said? Most embarrassing thing you ever bought?
Most embarrassing piece of equipment you've ever bought. I'll
let you guys just unmute yourself and talk when you want, and then we'll bring in DIY Audio Guy here in a minute.
I'll go first. It's not really that embarrassing as far as equipment goes, but Urban, I bought like 6 different Urban amps because it kept freaking blowing up. I just couldn't, with 212s, get enough out of them. I didn't know what I was doing. I just kept going back to the same guy. It wasn't really bad, more my fault, but that was, like I said, I started out with the Pioneer CD player and a Kicker 112 and another 12. So not really bad, but I wouldn't do what Big D does. I wouldn't go buy it right now and put it back in the car.
He does that so that we don't have to. Fortunately enough for us. What about you, Mr. Zemer? Have you made any regrettable purchases in car audio or embarrassing?
Oh, certainly. I mean, I think the biggest regret I had was buying this super fancy Streetwires distribution block, and after my car audio system got jacked, I'm fast asleep in my apartment, and it had to been 11 o'clock at night, and I hear a pounding on my door. I open it up, and it's the police department, and I see fire trucks everywhere in the apartment complex, and I'm thinking, what's going on? And it's my car. It's burning up. So, I mean, somehow the wire arced, the fuse block didn't, nothing popped, and up it went. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
You sure you didn't have that lithium back then?
Yeah, no lithium back then. And the worst part about the whole thing was I had just started dating my wife at the time. She lived in the same apartment complex, and she actually watched all this go down. And to this day, she won't let me touch her car when it comes to car audio. And that's 20 plus years ago. I'm still paying for it.
That's funny. But maybe she's on to something. Sorry. John, what you got?
I think I already mentioned it, but the Realistic Optimus 8-inch woofer and I think the pen that somehow I found somewhere. And then I think on the deck, I think I had a Kraco Kmart Blue Light Special head unit. But 16, I'm just trying to get something to my dad's truck to get rid of the AM radio crap. That was my most embarrassing. I've always tried to save and get decent equipment after that.
I think that makes for a great demo video, Rob, to take either a Sundown 6.5 or a Savard 6.5 and put it inside of a thick cardboard box and duct tape around it and see if we can get the whole box just to flex in and out. What do you think?
Dude, I could do something like that for sure. I can make some DBs off of it too.
Well, I think what helped too is it was behind the seat of the truck. So the seat went all against the box and kind of helped secure it in place and keep it from flexing too much.
All right, you're up, Mr.
Yeah.
Edward.
So back when I first got into car audio, I want to say in the early to mid 90s, yeah, it had to be around 95 because I think it was like CompuServe computer I had with the dial-up AOL. And eBay was going on. I bought a Pyramid 12-inch gold subwoofer on there. And I thought I hit the holy grail. You know, I spent like $9.95. And it came to the house and I got all excited and it was blown. So then I think besides that one, recently I bought some Scosche 4-inch drivers from Walmart. When I got that P404 that I'm going to be using for the old school SPL challenge, the front 2 channels of that had some DC leakage. So before I fixed it, I just threw it in my car and I had it powering my normal components that I had in the car, and it just blew them up. So for the time being, I was like, man, I need to get something in here. So went to Walmart, and in my Avalon, it says they're 4 inches. So I bought 4-inch, and they're actually 5 1/4. So I ended up using a bunch of masking tape around the 4-inch to get it to fit in that hole. So yeah.
Still doing it big, huh?
Yeah, I think the other big thing that I didn't mention earlier about, the price of car audio that we didn't take into account, but we didn't relatively link the income versus the price. Because if you think about how much, and I posted up some here on the stream for those who are watching live, $5.15 an hour, $3.50 an hour, $3.70 an hour we were making. It took a long time to be able to buy anything back then, where things were expensive as they are. So,
Yeah, actually, I remember I was working at McDonald's. It was $6.75 an hour when I was buying that system at Translex, and I remember it was like every week putting down $300, $300, $300, to buy that system, and it ended up being a pretty good system though. I got an Eclipse CD 3000, I think it was, punch amps, and so it was worth it in the long run. Nobody does that anymore. Now it's this get the credit. I think you're doing now, right? Get like a credit card for car audio, and these kids are buying it, and a week later their sub's blown, and then they're crying.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, man. But they still got to pay for it. The joys. So what about you, DIY audio guy?
The most embarrassing thing I've ever bought was this. I saw some crazy guy on YouTube make a video about this, like $10 Blaupunk Toronto radio. I went and bought 2 of the darn things, man. What was I thinking? That was crazy. What's wrong with me, man?
Did you use this affiliate link?
Did you use the affiliate link, which by the way wasn't active at the time? It took Walmart like a month to approve my affiliate stuff, and I'd already gotten like 300,000 views or whatever it was on the video. I have no idea how many people bought them, but I wouldn't make but like 5 cents because they're so cheap per item. But at least I would have got like a few bucks out of it. Oh well, it is what it is.
Okay. I've got a question for everybody, but before I do that, I want to talk about my most embarrassing purchase. Some of you may or may not have seen it in the 1/0 shootout, the Raptor 1/0 OFC tinned wire. I bought that. I can't remember. It was the 90s. But anyways, I bought it, and it was too good to be true deal, and you can see it's not even really 4 gauge, so that was a mistake. We got a lot of plastic, rubber, whatever is on there. Oh, I forgot about my question. All right. Show of hands, who was into BMX? I can't we can't go into after talk before. All right, we got 1, 2. Let me see. Yep, Dusty as well. All right. What do you think about that, Derek?
That's what I think about it right there.
Yeah.
It's coming. Woot woot.
Yeah.
Sorry. Had to.
We're gonna see a Willie on that too, Big D.
You know it.
I don't know if the wheelie's not going to be as easy on that bike. I'll tell you that right now.
I won't have no problem with it. Guaranteed. Guaranteed, no problem. Guaranteed, dude. We don't want to throw any more money at that, do we?
Well, I mean, do you want to break another Pixel phone or?
I can't help it. The $5 clip on it didn't work well. It didn't work very well.
Man.
Did we give John a chance to answer that question, or did we skip him?
I don't Oh no, he didn't get a chance.
Most embarrassing. Yeah, sorry about that, John. We didn't mean to leave you out. Do you have a most embarrassing purchase?
I did.
He has to unmute himself.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. The Optimus.
We left Dusty out, didn't we? Or no. Well, I think we got everybody.
Yeah, we got everybody. Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah. Should we talk about the Old School SPL Challenge and then thank
go ahead. While you're
go
ahead, and while you're doing that, I'm gonna look through and see if there's any. If you guys in the chat have any questions for anyone here, or just any kind of a generic question for everybody, post it in there, and we'll look through those. I'll let Rob go over the updates for the SPL Challenge.
Okay, so I don't have the page open, but I'm working on my SPL Challenge run. I hope to do that soon. I've got the amp. I don't know if you guys seen the PRS that I just done a quick little dyno of. So I'm going to use that. That'll put me in 51 to 100 watts. I still got to build an enclosure for the Rockville subs. That's the ones I'm going to use. I want to do some more SPL tips and tricks, but I really don't. I don't know if I've got the time to do I want to do a tunable port box, like a 6-inch port where I can just adjust the size, but I don't know if I'm gonna have time for that. So those of you that hadn't got your numbers up, I know the third era, Ed, he wants to he needs to borrow a meter to put his numbers up. So as soon as I'm done with mine, I'm gonna send it to him. And I don't know who else is in it, but or if you guys joined in, but yeah, that's basically what we got. We've had some updates coming up. And it's fun.
Yeah, so here's the leaderboard. Those who are watching us on YouTube, if you're listening on the podcast, apologize. But it looks like we have a lot of runs in most of the different categories. From 0 to 50, we have 4. 51 to 100, we have 5 different inputs. And then 101 to 250, we have 8. And 251 to 500, including the walled class, we have 10 submissions thus far, ranging from 137 to 151.6.
Yeah.
And
let it be known that I do have a higher SPL score than Derek at the moment.
Oh, does that mean I have to try now?
The champion has been brought down. That was just the trial run.
Yeah. I'm not sure how many more runs I'm going to be able to do, so you might beat me on this one. I'll take it since I got the money from the wheelie challenge. I'm taking the money and running.
Oh man! All right, so I think I'll thank the super chats that we got.
Yeah,
and then
go ahead.
Go into the fun stuff. Our dude Donnie Tuttle hit us up. Thank you, Rick Qualibomb, as always, and also our dude Jesse Strand. Thank you. Who said it was his most embarrassing purchase? Laugh out loud. The $10 super chat. So there it is. That's it, man. We're ready to get into getting a after show, and yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks everybody for listening on the podcast and watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, make sure you go to youtube.com/12etalk, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can watch us live when you get a chance. You can watch us on demand if you don't like to watch us live. But if you do watch us live, you can engage with us. You can leave comments and we'll talk with you and all that fun stuff. If you like the audio portion, want to listen to it in your car, you can check out on Google Play, Apple Podcast, and Spotify, to say a few. There's more, but those are the top ones where you can just do a search for 12E Talk, Hi-Fi Vega, or Big D Wiz, and you can find us and you can listen to the audio portion. This is episode number 59. So if you haven't caught those, you can go back and catch some of the old episodes. Make sure you subscribe for new ones that come out every Wednesday. Well, the live ones are every Wednesday. The archive ones are every Sunday, thanks to Mr. Vega for your support. And so for those who are listening to the podcast, we're going to sign out. Thanks as always for joining us. Those who are here on YouTube, stick around because you get after chat. But until next time, me and Rob, we gone.
Bye.
We
Later.
out. Leaving. See ya. Peace. All right. We had the after show now.
I'm gonna pop this up to Rick. I'm telling you, I'm at -9 dB when I put these in Audacity. Derek is going up to 0 dB every time, so I can't normalize his audio with mine. That's why it's hard to hear me unless I clip my own signal to do that. Because I see it.
Sounds like an excuse, like a Bluetooth excuse or something to me.
No, one of us goes in Audacity and sets their gains properly, and then the other guy just comes on and bulldozes over that.
Yeah, I don't believe this minus stuff. I go right up to 0. So, yeah, that was John. It wasn't John the one that was in Pro Audio. John, is that you?
Yeah.
John knows. John knows
me.
what DBs are all about. That's right. He said, "Take it all the way up to 0." That's good.
Just don't go over.
That's right. Well, you know, this is not analog, so you can't push the little needle that we used to with tapes.
Yeah.
Digital,
And I'm
you
just
go over
giving
0, you're screwed.
I'm just giving Rick a hard time because but that is the case, and I don't know. We just gotta get better about lining up our mic levels.
True that. Jason, what's your neighbor running? I don't know if you told us what he's running in his car.
I didn't see the head unit itself, but it was a Scar Audio amp with two. I'm trying to think of the subs. I think they might have been Rockville 12s, is what they were. So and it sounded loud, at least from a bass standpoint. I didn't sit in the car and listen to the front stage or anything, but at his age, I don't think he was concerned about the front stage. He was all about the boom. So.
All about the bass, no treble.
True that. Tri-mode crossovers, Boban. Yes, we have. Why would you want to do that these days though? Just use a 4-channel. Front 2 channels go to your front 2, bridge the rear. You don't have to worry about passive crossovers and all that yucky mess. You don't want to use passive crossovers on a subwoofer if at all possible, because it eats your power. That's a good video too, Rob, that I've been planning. How much power does, because the AMM1 will actually tell you how much power you're getting, right? So put a subwoofer, put the clamp past the coil, and then do one without a coil in line and see how much power you lost. I think it's like 20 to 30% power.
I think I've seen a video on YouTube in the home audio community where they done that.
Yeah, well, they need another one, so let's do it.
Big D, I'm running tri-mode in my daily driver right now.
Oh, that's right, with your 225?
275 SX.
275. Okay. That's cool. Only problem with it, of course you know this, everybody knows it, but the only problem is when you clip the bass, you're clipping your tweeters and mids. You got to be careful. So that's the only problem. But it is fun to say, oh, I've got a 2-channel amp that's running everything.
You know what's really fun, though, is having a channel for every single speaker in your car. That's the best. Can't beat it. I'm sure John would agree.
Well, see, that's the difference with with a lot of the home audio stuff they talk about, about being able to DSP like the home receivers and a lot of the home cinema stuff. So they're still DSPing, like they still use a lot of passive crossovers, right? Because if you get towers, they've got the 8s, the mids, the tweets, whatever, and it's all passively crossover. There's the higher end ones, of course, you can buy amp and run multiple amps in, but generally speaking, most of the home audio setups, the front, left, right, center, rears, all of them have passive crossovers built in, so it makes it a little bit more challenging unless you have everything tonal matched all the way across. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents, but it's not worth much.
Yeah, that's the problem I'm running into right now, actually, because I want to do a 3-way setup in my Avalon, but I'm at the edge right now of alternator power. So I'm trying to figure out what I can do to, get everything in a small package, because really nobody has an alternator for my car unless it's like a 450 amp. And I have to add like an extra pulley on there because it's a 97 Avalon. So it's a hard thing to get in there. So.
Yeah, man, that I've never run a non-stock alternator in one of my systems, surprisingly, but then again, I've never run over 1,500 watts in my personal vehicle. So.
Me too, neither.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ran actually more than, I think, 1,500 watts just on the subs. It's usually right around 750 to 1,000, and 400 for the mids and highs, and so yeah, it eats it alive, man. That Hyphonics amp that I have in there right now, that BXX 2400D, that thing's pulling like 300 amps of current, so it's a hog.
Ed, is that's
the problem I have.
That alternator dual output?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. What was that?
Is that a Toyota? Is that a dual output where you can't, or like Mac Manor doesn't make it or anything like that? Or
It's who was the one that could make it? Because I actually put in a bid with MechMan. I put in a bid with Ohio Generators. I was gonna go see the CS Jonathan Patrick way until kind of all that stuff went down recently. So probably gonna get a hold of him here in the next 2 weeks or so and see what he could do for me. But it's gonna have to be something custom because it's just the way that the bracket is in there and where the alternator is at. It's a tight fit.
Oh, okay. So just the housing itself just doesn't fit in between.
Yeah. It's probably like that wide. So
you need a bracket to run 2 of them that are slim, but
that's what I'm wanting to do. Yeah, like 150, 250s. That's pretty much, because the one I have in there now is a 120. So, and just with the extra battery I have in the back, I could demo, and listen for maybe 5-10 minutes. After that, I'm dipping into the low 12s, almost high 11s.
Mark, you saying I need more gain?
So we know why Vega's audio is low.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't get certified.
I need more gain on the amp.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any questions for us? Like anything you ever wanted to ask us? Derek, I'm thinking about removing myself from the stream so we can get all 5 of these guys in, and then I'll get in the comments. I'll still be in the comments. What do you think about that?
Well, let's see. Let me remove myself, and I'll let you guys talk, and I'll stay in the comments. And then if I need to jump back in, I can.
Well, you know what? I was actually going to have to probably dip out of here pretty soon. The wifey and the kids are pretty much playing hide and seek, so I could have time alone. But I got to get dinner going and all that for the fam bam. So
all right,
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
It's good having you on, man.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Tell the family I said hi.
I will, man.
All
Peace out.
Take it easy.
Hey, y'all, we're talking about passive crossovers briefly, and talking about doing a test to see how much power that you ate up with a passive crossover in place. So the idea is that the amount of power that crossover is going to burn is going to vary with the frequency. That's how it mutes the frequencies. So if you get around to doing that test, do it at 50 hertz, 40 hertz, 30 hertz, 20 hertz, and see if you can trace out the difference. I've toyed with doing that with a multimeter. In fact, I've got a video where I kind of tinker with that a bit. but I've not tried it with a passive to show how the passive does it.
That's a very good point. Very good point. And yeah, I'll definitely do that. But it's something I've always been curious with. In fact, when I first got my amp dyno, I tried to do it using the dyno, but the dyno cannot read the reactive load like the AMM1 can. So believe it or not, that big amp dyno is only designed to use the built-in resistors. You can't. In fact, the MM1 is more useful in a lot of ways than the big dyno. The big benefit of the dyno obviously is the resistors are built in, and it's got 2 channels, so you can actually run 2 separate monoblock amps if you want to, whereas the AMM1 will only do 1. The other thing that drives me crazy about the AMM1 is it's got a hole in the middle that you have to unplug your wire to run through. I don't know why they didn't make it into like a clamp, because if they'd have made it into a clamp, you could have very easily clamped it around your wire and then been good to go. So you have to clamp it around either the positive or the negative, then you have to still use both probes to make it work. And those things are still, I mean, they're not cheap. I think the MM1 is still what, $400, Rob? Is that right?
Yep, $400. And if you're like me, you can't use it on a reactive load because I haven't sent it in to get updated yet. I need the firmware update.
Well, yours works. It just doesn't work with music, right?
Right. Yeah, it'll work with the reactive load, just not with music.
Yep. It's a little bit of a challenge for it because it's looking for those certain frequencies. Yep. So, like Rob said, if you guys have any questions for us, we'll go through the chat room as well. If anybody needs to drop out, just tell us, or you can just drop out. That's cool too. I know we're going beyond time here.
I was wondering if you guys ever created the list of the old school amps, the ratings, and a complete list of, like, if you do it next year, so I know what to hunt for, between now and then to kind of isolate where I want to be at.
So can you explain a little more, Dusty? Are you talking about the tests we do, or are you talking about the actual amps that are being used in the challenge?
Amps for the challenge, as far as what class they fit in, the exact forum, results, because you have a lot of videos, so trying to scroll through and trying to find it, even then, it's not always going to be on there. So I don't, and it's not always easy to find the information because this stuff's 20 years old.
The best advice I can give you in that is a website called Used Price. Go to the Car Stereo Blue Book, type in the amp, and find it in the list below. It'll not only tell you the date of manufacture, it tells you the forum stereo rating. So, or if it's a mono amp before. That's what I use first before I even look in my directories. But if someone has a question, like on the Facebook group, I look at that website first, and then if I need to, I check the directories.
Yeah, I didn't see a link in the Facebook group, so I might have missed a few comments or whatever. But yeah,
and I need to link that up there. That's one that I forgot to link up.
Okay. Oh, the other question is, you guys, for many of your fans, when they buy equipment like amps, do you want them to email you as an up to ship the amp to you for you to test before they get it? Is that something you guys are interested in, or?
So that's a great question, and probably one that I get 3 or 4 times a day. And I don't mean that in any bad way at all. Please don't take it that way, because I understand if I didn't have an amp dyno and I wanted to know what amplifier I bought, how much power it did, I'd want to know too. But generally speaking, no, I don't do that. I know Rob on some occasions has done it, and I have done it in the past on some occasions. But I have had some issues where amps have had problems. And the other thing is, I plan my weekly videos and plan everything else kind of out on what I'm going to do based on A, what I want to do, B, what I think might be popular. There's several reasons of what I do is what I do. And a lot of times people want to send a 6-channel or 4-channel, something that just doesn't appeal to the masses kind of thing. And generally speaking, I don't take in amps, ship amps from people. But Rob, what do you think about that?
It depends on what it is. If it's something that is like Dee said, if it's relevant, or especially for me, because I don't test a lot of the stuff that, like, I know that Derek has already covered or will cover, or something that Ryan will cover, or unless I buy it myself, it's got to be something weird, something a little out of the ordinary for me. And if it is something like that, I will test it. But yeah, it has to be something that I want to test for just the weird factor, or being unique, or being something that I hadn't seen before.
So Ed dropped out, and he had the question about the amp dyno. Is it available to normal people? How much and how long did it take to get it? So the 81, the big dog, you have to pre-order it. In other words, you buy it and they build it. It takes them 6 to 8 weeks to assemble it, get all the parts together. And as of last check, they are 3,600. I think, is that right, Rob? Something like that. 3,800.
Yeah, I think so. It did start off around 2,500.
It did. It started off around 25. In fact, there was a Black Friday special at one time years ago where it was $18.99 for the amp dyno. But yeah, nowadays I would just get the AMM1. Honestly, there's not really a good reason to get the amp dyno unless you're planning on yeah. That's the thought too, but again, it's the other thing too is, here's another way to think about that, about testing other people's amps. So somebody sends us an amp, me or Rob. So we get the amp, we do the test, then we pack it up, and then we ship it. In most cases, people want us to pay the shipping and return back to them. And it's like, well, I tested your amp kind of for free. I'm sending you back an amp, and I'm having to pay for return shipping. It's just kind of, I don't know. It can cost a lot, because I've done like 3 or 4 amps in a week and I had to ship those things all back. And you're talking 60, 70, 80 bucks, and
or it could end in disaster. As we can let Jason Zemer talk about that. He sent me an amp and ended up having a channel out, so it's kind of a bummer. I got it all hooked up and I tested it out on the forum stereo, and I tested the channel that happened to be working. I was like, oh, that's okay. I bridged it. The power was it was not there, and so I tested the other channels separately, and it just had a channel out. So old school problems.
Hey, at least I sent the money to return.
Oh
ship.
yeah,
High five.
yeah, for sure. He had it on lockdown, and I still haven't shipped it out. I'm gonna ship it out this week though. I completely forgot about it. Got busy, been going to ball games, but yeah, it's coming back.
All right. I didn't see any. Yeah, the Drag Queen amp. Yeah, that's kind of like the big JBL amp. That's not something that you can really get in. That's something that you have to find locally. And
I happen to know someone that's got one of those. Did you know that it come with like 4 or 8 batteries?
Batteries. Yes, I do.
That's crazy.
I'm sure they still work fine today too.
Yeah, they're fine. Batteries got a shelf life of what, 20, 30 years?
Yeah, I used to even do the return shipping for when manufacturers would send me stuff. So they would, hey, you want to try this out? Sure. They'd send it to me, and then I'd be finished, and it'd be like, okay, here's where you ship it. I'm like, whoa. So I'm testing your stuff and I'm paying to ship it back. Nah, I'm not doing that anymore. So I don't. But I will say this, I haven't charged any manufacturer for any test I've ever done. So everything that I do, of course, I can't fudge the numbers anyway, because the amp dyno is what the amp dyno is. But I have been asked by several to do it as a service, and I've actually posted it on my YouTube community tab and everything else, trying to determine, is this something I want to offer as a service? Is it gonna, people are still gonna believe me when I make a video and give my true feelings about it, because I'm kind of doing a commercial for the company. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I've got some. I mean, it's obviously a way to progress my channel and build everything up. I'm still weighing on the side of being independent, but it's tougher to progress and make it bigger with being that way, but I don't know. Something to think about.
Yeah. And if you need a shill, I'm always here. I can only test amps up to 2,000 watts. Manufacturers hit me up.
He's the real deal Holy Shield.
Y'all got any more questions, or you want to get some out of the chat here?
Yeah, chat.
Okay, well, first off, there.
Oh, what's something in the chat?
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, John.
So Derek, I think what you will probably look at doing, they do this in the professional industry, is there's independent that'll actually fully rate based off the standards that they're trying to set as an industry, and so it's something you could probably look into to try to set industry set a test and use it as a just jumpstart a business, or use that.
Yeah, that's a great idea, John, and that's been brought up. Rob's brought that up before. Said like Wilson Audio certified or whatever, and yeah, I mean the tool, it's not an Audio Precision that I use, but as far as the results, they are accurate to 1% THD, and that's what a lot of people are using nowadays. And Right Wheel Sam is in the house. So Right Wheel Sam was on Everyday Audios last night too, commenting, and we're wondering if that's really you, Right Wheel Sam, because we're not hearing from you guys. Rob, we haven't heard from him. I don't think Everyday Audios has heard from him. So I'm not sure that's really Right Wheel Sam. Right Wheel Sam, is this the real Right Wheel Sam? Will you please stand up? Please stand up.
He's like Slim Shady, huh?
That's right. Yeah, we're trying to get you guys on, man.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
And
hey guys, I'm getting a lot of lag. I'm going to drop out and just watch the stream. All right.
All right, Justin. Thanks
for
joining. Everybody sub DIY Audio Guy YouTube. You got your own? Do you got the vanity URL yet? I don't think so.
I don't think you get it yet with 100, but if you do a search on YouTube for DIY Audio Guy altogether, then his channel pops up as the first one.
Cool. It's me, bro. He says. It's me.
For real.
Oh man. I don't know, unless did he have the Stella Artois too?
Maybe.
That's how we know. Yeah. Oh man. So y'all got any other questions you want to ask, or?
I want to ask the chat if anybody's got a original set of Stinger Venom, the green Venom RCAs, so I could do that in my build for my EQTs. Anybody can either contact Eric, they're posted here. 12, 17 foot, I'd be happy.
I was drinking coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second that. I'm looking for a set of old school subs. I need 2 4-inch or 4 ohm 12s or 15s. I'm looking for. If anybody has them, hit me up.
Yeah, they're trying to buy some old school.
Yeah, so to make it easier, if you guys are watching or still around at this point and have either one of those, send an email to 12vtalk@gmail.com and we will forward them to Jason or Dusty. So
yeah,
here it is right here. That's
Boom.
how you can contact us. Boom.
Yeah. So I think, what do you think, man?
We've reached the end.
Yeah.
About ready to jump.
I've had dinner tonight, so.
Me too, but it's Wednesday and I'm kind of done for the week already, and I can't wait for my bike to come on Friday. I'm so excited. I'm already picking out mags and front brakes and trying to figure out how I can do the POTS mod and run the it doesn't have a hole in the stem in the cruiser.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to find an aftermarket one so I can put it in there and run and then figure out a gyro and everything else.
Does it have like 3-piece cranks on it, or is it
It
just
has
regular?
3-piece cranks,
Oh,
man.
dude.
3-piece.
Hold up. Pop that screen up. We got to show this thing off. Let's see it.
You know it.
Do they make anyone for poor boys? That's what I need. I'll ride the Huffy version.
Well, this
that
one is
sprocket looks tiny on that bike.
And I know, they're doing that now. They're putting a bigger rear. I think the rear freewheel has got more teeth, but the front one has only got 36.
Oh, man.
And mine used to have 44, I think is what I used on mine. 44 tooth sprocket on the front. But it's got seal bearing hubs. The only thing on it that's not name brand is the brake. The rear brake, it's a U brake.
Yeah.
And it's a generic one, but everything else is like either GT or a name brand. So it's actually
GT is making this bike, right?
Yeah, it's actually a GT, and it's got the old school GT logo on the front and also right on the seat post.
Oh,
but yeah, three-piece cranks, but you can still get the Redline 3-piece cranks too. Those are still available. They're only like $90. Yep.
Oh, those used to be like 200 back in the day.
I know. Yeah, they're 90, and then but they don't have the silver 4-spoke sprocket. You have to get a black one, but they're like $40 for those.
Wow.
But
we can do about that seat, man. If you hit a bump, you got some trouble.
It's padded, believe it or not.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm not sure how padded, but anyway. These guys are probably like, what the heck are we doing? They
know. Hey, if they called in, they know the score. They know what happens. We talk about bikes and yeah,
I'm gonna get everybody back in. But by the way, this is a 2019. They had it in. This is a 29-inch too. They had it in blue and they had it in orange, Dayglow orange. The Dayglow orange ones are sold out. There's only a few blues left, and they've already changed to 2020, and it's like a multicolor deal.
Yeah.
And the brand new ones are $750. These are on sale right now for $600, $595. If you go to citygrounds.com, that's where I got this one. So
dude,
it's like 150 off.
If they made the Stranger Things Mongoose in like a 26-inch, oh man, I'd be all over it.
No doubt.
There it goes.
It always comes back to BMX.
I used to go to Kroger's and sell candy bars so I could race my BMX down at Coney Island in Cincinnati.
See?
Yeah. I did it for like 3 summers, but yeah, we used to.
Yeah, rock and roll Jesus onto it. I'm definitely gonna need some serious rubber on those. I want to see how big yours is when the spring meet comes. See, because after our buddy Paul mentioned that he kind of liked the 26-inch better, and he's about our same height.
Yeah, he's a little taller than me, but remember he got the Haro. Which has a different frame geometry, and it doesn't have a layback seat post. His has got a straight seat post.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. From all the research I've done, I think this will work good, but we'll find out later this week.
Yeah, cool.
Well, thanks guys for joining us tonight for our first guest dial-in / fan, whatever you want to call it, episode. We greatly appreciate you guys joining us tonight and telling us your stories about car audio and how you guys got in and really your involvement in the community and for you guys hanging out with us every week. We do greatly appreciate you being around and being involved because nobody, if nobody watches this, then there's no reason for me and Rob to do this. So we appreciate you guys being involved. It really helps us out.
Yeah, good times, man. We'll have to do it again.
Keep up the great work, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, everybody. Y'all have a good night. Thanks, everybody, for watching on YouTube. We will catch you next week, same time.